Well, good morning, everyone. What a treat to be here for the 10th anniversary, and what a pleasure to follow Louise. Coming from the States, it's always surprising when we find somebody working in government with actual functioning brain cells and real empathy, trying to make the world a better place. This isn't done in the United States anymore, so we welcome this. It's something we can all learn from. Service design at scale is exciting, important, inevitable, and as the organization is now declaring the new normal, right? So I'm going to talk about the frontiers of service design in an interesting way. Those of you taking photographs of the slides, I've already posted them for you on a secure website. You're welcome to take photos all you want, but I'm trying to make it easier for you, okay? So here's the deal. The way we look at it, the transformation of the world into a service world and the driving force of getting all those things to be much more integral to the way in which everything happens and specifically is delivered through our mobile devices will probably be about $1 trillion worth of service development before we're done, okay? That's why the room is packed. This is an important topic in the Service Design Network, and its board members have done a fabulous job of trying to make sure the organization is substantive, thoughtful, deep, and helpful to all of you as you try to help the world. Let me just calibrate for one moment. How many of you are actual designers with the skill to create something with a terrific interface and a terrific experience? And how many of you think of yourselves more as clients of designers, eager to try to use the magic and the power of design, but not actually having the skill of design? And by the way, that includes me, despite whatever those idiot, journalists said about me being a designer in the world. I'm not. I've never been confused about that. Okay, so most of you are claiming to be designers. That's good because, look at the way in which we have to reinvent government for clouds and for devices, reinvent all of its processes. We have to do the same thing in financial services, in healthcare, in transportation, logistics, hospitality, entertainment, social. There is trillions of dollars worth of work that needs to be done over the next few years, and this pattern is permanent and never changing, okay? So when you look at global patterns in the economy, you see services on the uptick, you see everything else comparatively either flat or on the decline. That's why the topic is important. That's why we have to get this right. Okay? Just to calibrate, we also see that when you do get it right, the whole world responds. I was in Hong Kong a few days ago. I took a picture of this fairly large-scale billboard while I was strolling through the airport. 600 million transactions a day from WeChat Pay. That's as compared to the old days, 3 years ago, when this service didn't exist, okay? From, no place to 600 million transactions a day, that gives you a sense of what it means to get it right and to do something that people care about. As some of you know, along with my colleagues at Dublin, we've worked hard to be innovation scientists, to try to figure out how to get innovation to succeed instead of fail. One of my great colleagues and co-authors, Ryan Pickell, is in the room, so you can talk to him about this. I've been here just for a few hours this morning. So far, 20 former students have introduced themselves to me again and told me what kinds of things that they're doing. This is the world I care about, the world where we break down complicated, important stuff into robust frameworks, tools, methods, and processes that actually work, and radically altering the way in which something functions. So where this came from, two of my former brilliant colleagues, Vijay Kumar, for my money the best methodologist in the design field globally, and Ewan Duncan, now running telephony for McKinsey & Company, were able to identify innovations that changed categories, industries, or the world. We gathered up more than 1,200 of those over a 200-year swath of history. We stuck them in computers to ask the question, did they have anything in common? And we discovered, to our enormous astonishment, that there are now, and this is the important part, have always been 10 distinct types of innovation. At Dublin, color is never random, never decorative. So this stuff in blue, it's taught in business schools. The stuff in gold, it's taught in engineering schools. The stuff in red, it's taught in social science or design schools. And the reason why innovation continues to be hard, even as is ever more obviously important, is because no one typically has the time to master all that stuff as an individual. It's not an individual game, it's a team sport. Louise illustrated that very thoughtfully, I thought, in the way she showed the complexity of trying to reinvent government. And when you learn that, you understand that nobody has the skills that it needs to put something together. When you learn to do this in the proper way, managing and embracing complexity, climbing the confusion curve and bringing it down to the other side where something is simple and powerful, what you get is bolder concepts that are easier to implement and much harder for others to copy. That's what makes the magic happen. And the rule of thumb is you have to be using 5 or more types of innovation and all 3 colors to create something with the power to change the world. This is the way we are able to sort of diagnose when something is basically a carbuncle, a train wreck, a mess, or predict when something is powerful enough, useful enough to be game-changing and category-changing. Now, I've broken this down into 3 bite-sized nuggets for our consideration today. And all of this is in the spirit of taking the 800 or so people in this room and giving you pragmatic ways to think about changing the world, because goodness knows it needs changing, all right? And the first of those bite-sized nuggets is to sort of help us to understand how to innovate on the right things. Many people will come to you and say they need your help, and they do. The trick is for you to say no until such time as you're working on something with the importance that it deserves, so that you have a chance to use your scarce time and extraordinary skills to create something that's badass, okay? And the rule of thumb is it really needs to start as a platform. When I was a kid, that's what platforms consisted of. I know you're trying to recognize them. Let me help you with that. These were the shoes worn by Elton John in the Goodbye Yellow Brick Road tour. Okay, nobody cares. So here's the deal. Since those silly shoes were being worn by that guy on stage, what's happened is the whole world has been reorganized, reorchestrated around things that are digital, that cut across industries, boundaries, governments, all kinds of technologies and all kinds of experiences, and they're radically game-changing. Learning to think this way is a big deal. So let me illustrate that. Here are the most important consumer platforms as we sit here today. Calibration question, how many use at least 3 of these a day? Just so I can, yep, everybody in the room, that's what I figured. Punchline, the least valuable is worth well over $1 billion US, and the most valuable is worth well over 40 billion US dollars. Learning to start with platforms means you're working on something important. More to the point, when you work on that important thing and you get it right, it has the power to organize much of the world around it. It is the seed crystal for new ecosystems. And make no mistake, ecosystems are the ways in which industries now get radically altered. And if you're lucky enough to work on a business-to-business platform and create one of those, it's even more leverage. So these are the biggest business-to-business platforms in the world. Trust me on this one, you can't escape these suckers. Okay? You use them every day, you just don't know it. You'd have to be, I don't know, in a submersible at the bottom of the ocean or climbing K2 with no support team at base camp to not be using every one of these every day. Least valuable, worth well over 10 billion US dollars. Most valuable, worth more than 400 billion US dollars. Learning to think in platform level fundamentals is the new way in which we start to recognize how we get leverage. As I said, they're the seed crystals of ecosystems. Ecosystems are a big deal. Think about much of modern digital life as if it was a coral reef. What I love about coral reefs, when they're healthy and when we're not cooking them with global warming, is that it's a place where diverse life forms come and they self-organize, they self-optimize. They do all kinds of incredibly brilliant things. And the best part, they don't have to have staff meetings on Monday mornings to work it all out, right? The complexity emerges from the way in which it is orchestrated, and it is very simple to operate, and these are some of the best ecosystems presently in the world that all behave with extraordinarily different kinds of ways of thinking. So when somebody comes to you and says, I'd like you to cook up a little service for me, the first question in your mind should be, is this important enough? The scarcest resource we have, ladies and gentlemen, is our time. Your ability to be valuable, your ability to be important. Remember, those of you that were my students, my job is to teach you how to be powerful. And I want to do that in part by giving you the ability to assert when you know something to be true and when someone is asking you not to work on something difficult or important enough. And to illustrate this value of ecosystems, here's Salesforce. When they created it initially, it was essentially an updated, all-digital, cloud-based CRM system, which sounds, fantastic, I guess. But they've later learned how to create Dreamforce and open architecture, manage all those capabilities inside of modern devices. From the very beginning, they were using 7 types of innovation, and you can see how the innovation predictive engine that Ryan Piquel in the room and others have helped to develop, the idea of 5 or more types of innovation, and all 3 colors represents the idea that this is going to be big enough to change the world, okay? And when you look at the IDC recent analysis of the value of the Salesforce ecosystem, and that's before Dreamforce starts next week, they said it's just under $400 billion a year. This is my evidence that when we learn to think in platforms and in ecosystems, we create a big deal change. Now, what do designers have to do with this? They learn to create the teams that share the willingness to deal with complexity, but to turn it into something remarkable. That means getting past the technology to the business capabilities that allow you to throw off enough free cash flow to earn the privilege of doing it over again, but most importantly, as Louise was just showing us in government, create it in a way that it really works well with human beings. Or, goats. I don't mind. If you want to do goat-centered design, that's cool too. But human beings are the ones that are typically using these services, and for heaven's sakes, we've known forever that we have to bring our heart, that we have to bring empathy and skill, and reorganizing the world around those things, that's what makes a difference. Now, let me show you how that works over time. How many of you are members of Amazon Prime, just so I can calibrate? Let me remind you how this happened to you, okay? About 7 years ago, you got an innocuous-seeming email, and it said, words to the effect of, did you know that of all of our customers that we serve everywhere in the world, you're one of our favorites? And so today, we have a special offer for you, a Cool Kids Club that you can join for just $79 US. And when you join the Cool Kids Club, you're going to get free shipping on millions of items. There are lots of really smart, rational people in Seattle that created this program. They said, oh, man, people are smart. They're going to understand they're just prepaying for their own shipping. We better give them a little something else. So they said, so wait, there's more. You're going to get unlimited instant streaming of 41,000 movies and TV episodes. Wow, that was exciting. They have huge data at Amazon. They knew exactly what 41,000 movies and TV episodes nobody ever watched. But suddenly you could watch those for free. And wait, there's still more. You can download, borrow, and read 350,000 items on your Amazon Kindle. Small print, Kindle sold separately. Okay? Don't even try to read those things on your iPad, sucker. And it's 350,000 things that, again, nobody ever really wanted to read. But there you go. That was the special deal for joining the Cool Kids Club. And millions of us said, oh, I want to be in the Cool Kids. And I didn't know I was one of their favorites. So we paid our $79 and we joined, and that caused Amazon for the first time to move from 2 types of innovation to 6 types of innovation, and it was a big deal shift. But the analysts, very smart people, probably trained at Wharton or the London School of Economics, they took one look at it and they said, oh no, this is a catastrophe. We're really worried about this. And the way they said it is people are joining for $79, but we predict they're going to get $90 worth of services per year. That means Jeff Bezos is out of pocket for $11 for each of those customers. Auga, dive, said the analyst. But what happened? Those of you that joined Amazon Prime, tell me now, did you find yourself ordering stuff just a little more frequently? And fess up. Did you order weirder shit? So here's the real thing that happens when people become a member of this particular Cool Kids Club. They want to get their money's worth. They're rational in a sort of weird way. So the same people that were Amazon customers before they joined Prime versus the people after they joined Prime, If you were average, and nobody in this room is average, but if you were merely average, you would be ordering 1.5 times as frequently per year and spending 2.4 times as much in total. That is to say, before you joined the Cool Kids Club, you were spending $505 a year at Amazon. Afterwards, $1,224. What does that mean? That means after charging you $79 for the privilege, Jeff Bezos made an additional $78 in incremental profits from stuff he otherwise would not have sold you. And wait for it, it's even cooler than that. He gets all those $79 up front. So his cash flow changed massively too. And that's what caused him to be much richer. Just last week, he became the richest guy in the world, surpassing his next-door neighbor, Bill Gates, right? So here's the deal. That's the way the business model actually works. And then they figured out, wait, this is a psychological business model. People really like being in the Cool Kids Club. So 2 years ago, they raised the price in the States from $79 to $99. And again, they did that everywhere else in the world. Let's calibrate. After the Cool Kids Club got priced up a few bucks, how many of you said, that's it, I'm out of here. This club is not cool enough for me anymore. No thanks. Not a single hand up in the audience. What did the rest of you do? We're going to have to buy more shit. So ladies and gentlemen, here's how this actually works. 90% of everything shipped by Amazon each and every day, 7 days a week, goes to members of the Cool Kid Club. It goes to the Prime members. Now let's talk about how that works to change over time with platforms on top of platforms. They started out by trying to just be the easiest to do business with, okay? And of course, they sold books originally, but every designer should have noticed this a long time ago. Their logo from the very beginning connects the A to the Z with an arrow that makes a smile, okay? Originally, one-click purchasing was the most important technology. After that, as I've just illustrated, they created some business model changes to be able to sell every possible thing to you besides books and to sell a lot of it through third-party sellers. And then they added the things that I've just been explaining, Prime, Instant Video, Prime Now, and bought Whole Foods to be able to sell you organic grocery. And then they added Echo, which just a few weeks ago passed 16,000 separate skills that it can do inside of your home. These are the consumer-facing sides of Amazon as a service. Let's now look at the institutional or business-facing sides. That's Amazon Web Services, scores of things, so elegant, so interoperable, and so robust that fully 70% of all startups in the United States of America begin life inside of the Amazon cloud using Amazon Web Services. They have patented and begun to control and to insist that every supplier use their logistics strategies for predictive shipping and getting things to people as efficiently as humanly possible. And when you look at the payoff for all of this, you discover why Jeff Bezos is now the richest guy in the world. $1,000 invested in Amazon in 2002 would be worth, in today's dollars, 83,000 US dollars. Okay? That same $1,000 invested in the same period of time in the biggest company in the world, Walmart, would only be worth $2,250, essentially flatlined with inflation taken into consideration, and that paid off handsomely for Jeff Bezos as well. But this is not really about wealth, ladies and gentlemen. This is really about understanding the velocity of amplification of good ideas when you learn to design them with the right level of complexity and robustness, which brings me to my second little bite-sized nugget for you. How do we learn to innovate in the right ways? How do we embrace the theme of this conference, service design at scale, and do it in a way that allows us to manage the complexity and deal with things in a way that's sophisticated and powerful? You're already seeing this everywhere in the appification of the world, okay? It is literally already true that there's more than 1.5 million apps for your iOS or Android device, and nobody needs that many. You install even a small fraction of that many, or life comes to a crashing halt. So what happens is you hear about the cool ones from your friends, or you endure the lousy ones that are shoved into your device by your employer, and you experience the real world of modern interoperability, where it's asset light, fast, connected, rated, open, porous, shared. This is the world like we have experienced for millennia in a coral reef, right? This is our modern digital coral reef. These things are self-organizing and self-optimizing. There's no central point of control. They even keep track of the mistakes that are happening around the world and send little ET phoning home messages to the developmental teams to tell them what to fix next. So what I like to say, this principle is that modern innovation is much more about the elegant integration of the known than the primary invention of the new. You can see that also in something very strange that's never happened before. Some of the prime technology companies of the world, like Google, Alphabet, or Facebook, are taking the core crown jewels of what they're developing and giving it away for free to people like you. So here's the thing that Google's working on. Tensorflow is their experiment in deep learning. They've invented an incredibly important new class of chips called tensor chips. They've taken the software tools and the lowest cost hardware platform available on planet Earth, Arduino boards, Raspberry Pis, and Google Cloud for an ever-growing array of capabilities, and they're giving it away for free in order to do things like this. Google is completely convinced that the world we need is one where you can hold your phone up in front of something that's baffling, okay? A menu, instructions at a hospital, complicated instruction about how you're supposed to do something for government, Louise, and have it translated in front of your eyes into something you might actually have a fighting chance of understanding. Google's smart enough to know that this is coming, but if they did it themselves, it would take just under 20 years. By giving it away to the whole world, their impression is, their expectation is that they'll do it in about 11 months. That's the new way you get breakthroughs to compound earlier breakthroughs and to create more progress in the world. So just TensorFlow alone is using 5 distinct types of innovation. Facebook is doing the same thing with fast text, shifting from a small number of types of innovation to a larger number of types of innovation, 6 here, in order to do natural language processing in a very deep way. Every one of you can participate in these, but beware, please. Remember, every time something is given away for free, your suspicion should be that that makes you the product, not the customer, okay? And that's something we all have to be wary about now. Earlier, I was giving you the sense that we have to be able to design things as platforms. Airbnb has done that in an elegant way with these 5 types of innovation. Remember, rule of thumb, 5 or more types of innovation, all 3 colors predicts a breakthrough. And it has been a breakthrough. Here's how it's actually paid off. It was founded only in 2008, and by 2016, Airbnb was orchestrating each and every night 2.3 million hotel rooms in inventory. That made it larger than all 3 of the 3 largest hotel chains in the world, including one that's over 125 years old. Think about that. Think about the velocity. Now, what I'd really like you to think about is how do you do something like that? Our challenge in this conference, our question for our gathering here in the 10th anniversary is service design at scale. So let me show you how it actually works. Shockingly few people get how it actually works, okay? So here I've taken apart for you the entire tech stack of Airbnb. There are 20 application and data capabilities. There are 16 DevOps capabilities. There are 13 utilities, and there are 8 business tools. And the question you might want to ask, always a useful question, is which of those are unavailable to you? Because the vast majority of those you could be using later this same day, okay? And the reason you would do that, of course, is because it's the only way to avoid modern patent trolls. It's a really smart way to get the world to happen faster with modular Lego building bricks. But let me further assess this for you because I've stripped out the ones that are a little bit proprietary. Airbnb would claim that they're very proprietary and the heart of their work, but I don't think that's actually true. One of the 20 application and data capabilities is semi-proprietary. 2 of the DevOps are a little bit proprietary. 3 of the business tools have been cooked up by Airbnb teams, and 1 of the business tools is somewhat proprietary. That is 7 out of 57 capabilities. And trust me on this, if that is what's keeping you from starting an Airbnb today, here's the deal. It would take about 4, maybe 5 hours for a good tech team to figure out how to have workarounds from those supposedly 7 proprietary capabilities. Ladies and gentlemen, the new world we're in, the world I'd like you to actually think about throughout the conference today, tomorrow, and the next day, is one where if you have a badass idea, you can now build it. You don't have to be a genius, a gadfly, or maverick rocket scientist or Nobel Prize winner to innovate. You just have to have heart, and you have to have some sense of what the world needs next. And you can build it with these kinds of Lego building bricks. There's nothing unusual or distinctive about this. Every well-run big company running at scale works with these kinds of tech stacks. Here's Uber's tech stack, just so you can see the same point done in a different way. Loving this remote control. It's fabulous, as Louise pointed out. Here's the tech stack of Uber. Not one single thing is proprietary. At Uber, they own exactly 1 patent. They got it about 4 months ago for that really moronic message you sometimes see, your driver is completing a trip nearby, which every time I see it translates in my head to completely ignore the estimate of what time you're going to see the driver because we got no clue, okay? That's the only patent they have at Uber. This is how people build software now. You think about what you're trying to do. You use tech stacks and TechShare, GitHub, Hadoop, and other things like that to figure out where you're going to get the capabilities you need to actually deliver. The people that learn to think this way do hard things much faster than ever before, and the burden on you, if you don't know what I'm talking about, is to learn it. I believe the minimum talent set of a switched-on service design team very soon is to be able to be robust enough to understand the tech stack, to understand how you would actually deliver the capabilities that you know the world needs. You can't just sketch the interface. So here's my final thoughts in the couple minutes that I have left. Service design at scale is a beautiful conference theme. I've already told you that we need about $1 trillion of such services to change the world the way we need it. The question is, how will you and I play a role in that? What makes us indispensable? What makes us do the things that actually matter? Well, I've got a couple of things that are just universal. These are the truisms about designers that have been true forever. The reason why designers are valuable is because designers are very good at making real stuff. We actually make the stuff. Not me, you, the actual designers in the room, conceive and make stuff. It's a beautiful thing, okay? We make messages distinct. We do things because we empathize with human beings. We're able to imagine ideal usage experiences before they exist. We actually like when something is new. We're like 2-year-olds, right? Whoa, what's that? Do it again. Ha! It's that beautiful childlike quality, right? Picasso, at age 80. Took me 80 years to learn how to draw like a 2-year-old. Those are beautiful things that designers have always brought to the party. But have you noticed there's a real watershed moment we're in right now? Just last week, one of the things that I found really important is that the New York Times and other mainstream media all across the United States are beginning to talk about how these 5 tech giants are now frightening, how they have to be watched. And the reason that's happening is because, as you know, it appears that Putin played a disproportionate role in the selection of our recent idiotic president, okay? And it is extremely terrifying to people to see how systems that we all trusted have gotten hijacked, and more to the point, it's really important for all of us to figure out what consequence this has for the way we believe and behave now. So I've got 3 pieces of gratuitous advice for you to consider, all right? First one, just because something is technologically possible doesn't make it a great idea. You know that. But there are so many people that will come to you and treat you as if you are just a cake decorator, very low in the influence process, and expect you to take whatever they give you and to turn it into something that's going to be a delightful interface. I'm just asking you to beware of using data in ways that are ultimately harmful to people. I think we've had, a 30-year experiment with this with FICO credit scores. They're always used against people, you and me. Okay? You now, because government officials made it essential, you can know your credit score. Until recently, that wasn't even easy for you to know. What you can't know is why that's your credit score. And nobody ever tells you how to improve it systematically in a way that's robust. This is an entire industry, financial services, that uses its major metric against you. The revolution in services there is to create a next generation credit score so that it's transparent and we teach people how to have better ones. Wouldn't that be lovely? Second thing you want to watch for is test your prototype with your head and your heart, not just in a usability lab. And what do I mean by that? I mean specifically ask yourself, after this new thing you're cooking is out in the world for a while, do you want to live in that world? Do you want your kids to live in that world? Do you think it's a good idea? What will happen? Try to anticipate the unintended consequences. I know that's hard, but goodness gracious, that's one of the things we really owe the world now. And the third and final piece of gratuitous advice, if your client doesn't get this, if they continue to treat you like you're a low-level cake decorator, for God's sakes, build your own platform. I've shown you already how easy it is with Airbnb. Just make one. There are all kinds of next-generation capabilities that are going to emerge. They're going to emerge soon, and they're going to be bigger, I know this is hard to believe, than mainstream platforms, even like Facebook or Microsoft, okay? Why is that going to happen? Because the world needs this stuff. And frankly, it's going to happen because we need it in ways that will protect us from the technologies we have already embraced, perhaps a little too enthusiastically, a little too unquestioningly, because they were given to us for free. What will the new capabilities be like when we get beyond technical elegance to the things that will change the world in the right ways? If you want these notes, ladies and gentlemen, please send an email to support@doblin.com and refer to this event, SDN-Madrid, and you'll get the notes. And that's my email address. I respond to everything personally, if not instantly. I just want to say what a privilege it has been to see so many of my friends and colleagues, people I've known for many years, in this room, eager to change the world in the way it needs to be changed. I need you to do this. We all do. Thank you very much.